Here's an interview from one of our past shows on Rock and Metal Revival. If you're interested in hearing full shows, go to our Facebook page and check out our list of affiliates for times and places where you can hear Rock and Metal Revival. There is Love is the Revolution off the upcoming album called Complicated from Jeff-Scott-Soto, and we want to welcome back a friend of Rock and Metal Revival, Jeff-Scott-Soto. Welcome back to the show, Jeff.
Thank you so much. How you guys doing?
It's good to have you. We're doing well. It's great to have you back. Now, Jeff, off the bat, I have to ask you about that first single. I just love that sitar in that song.
At the beginning.
Yeah,
cool.
Which you don't hear hardly at all anymore. I mean, what was the idea when you added that classic instrument to that song? That's awesome.
I gotta tell you, that was Alessandro. When he sent me the demo to that, the sitar thing was already part of it. I got so excited immediately because I always loved when the Beatles or Aerosmith or bands like that use the sitar as kind of like not as a main instrument for a song, but something to add another layer, another color. And when I heard that right off the bat, I said, this song is going to be a single. I'm sorry. I don't care who agrees or disagrees with me. And to be honest with you, it wasn't chosen as a single right from the jump from the label. And I insisted we have to change one of the ones that they wanted as a single to come from this record and make a video for that one. So I love that from the jump, and I think the song is brilliant, and I love the music for it. And it's writing and working with Alessandro makes it so easy for me to come up with quality ideas. It's for quality in my terms. I'm not going to speak for others. They might think my stuff is crap. But for me, I find a level of, it's not even easeability. It's more a level of natural, organic writing and coming up with ideas when I'm working with Alessandro, because he just comes up with such great stuff and makes my job so much more fluent. And again, I never use the word easy because there's nothing easy about trying to come up with something that you feel and others are going to feel as well. So for me, it starts with, I got to feel it first, and then hopefully I can find others that agree with me.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Love is a Revolution also has a really cool video, kind of a little gore in there, but pretty cool. Now,
yeah.
Where'd that come from?
Well, I work with a filmmaker in Brazil, and he's not necessarily, I say this all the time, I work with him because he's not a musical director. He's not a music director. He's not the kind of guy that just go, that's all he does is for a living is making music videos. It's because he's a filmmaker and he's got so many amazing cinematic landscapes and things to offer in his own visuals. That's what makes the videos I make with him more interesting than if I was just going to take the budget and do a performance piece of singing the song without actors, without any kind of context. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that I give him absolute poetic license to come up with things that he feels. Sometimes it's based on the lyrics, sometimes it's not. Sometimes he just wants to be a little shocking, and I love that kind of stuff because in the end, even if people don't see the relation of the video to the songs, I would rather have something a little more interesting visually, because otherwise you're going to see me for the millionth time just kind of going through the motions and singing the song and trying to look cool, etc. I think it's cooler to add visuals and things that kind of take it away from the actual song and the singer once in a while.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Definitely.
You know, Jeff, on Complicated, I noticed that you didn't use any special guests on this release. Was this a conscious effort, or did it just work out that way?
Yeah, I haven't really done that on the last few solo records. I'm trying to steer away from needing names or needing people to other careers and other artists to bank on. I'd rather the music be the actual focus. I'd rather, at this point, I want people to focus on the fact that it's a Jeff-Scott-Soto album, not, oh, Jeff has this guy or that girl or that person on the album. And because it starts, I don't want to say clouding, but it starts kind of filtering away from the big picture, which is, this is a solo record, and I want it to stand strongly as a solo record without having or needing to rely on others to kind of sell it or to market it for me.
Yeah, and the band is slamming. Who's in the band? Because the guitarist, man, he shreds those songs, man. I love the guitar solos too, man.
Absolutely. Starting with the drummer, Edu Cominato, I've been working with Edu 20 years now. He's been on so many of my solo records. He's also in the band Soto. He was my touring drummer since 2009, and Was it 2009? No, maybe it's 2012. I forgot exactly when we started touring together. But he's been in my life musically for so many years. We've collaborated, written, and done so many things. He's my go-to drummer regardless of what situations we're working on together or what he's involved in, because he thinks the way I do if I were a drummer. Everything he plays, everything he does, the approach, he's never too easy, but he's also never too simple. He gives you a little flavor. He gives you something to chomp your teeth as far as his drum parts, and I'll always use Edu as long as he wants to work with me.
Nice.
Alessandro, just like the Wide Awake album, he ended up playing bass. He did all the keys. He did some guitars and backing vocals. So he's a jack of all trades.
Man.
He's a go-to guy. When he wrote the songs, he's playing on all the demos. So it's amazing to hear that the final outcome here is pretty much as I heard the original demos. Clearly, the performances were tightened up, and obviously using a real drummer as opposed to drum loops or drum machines absolutely helped. Andro is one of those musicians I could count on. Hey, can you fix this guitar part or add this guitar part or find somebody? He doesn't need to find somebody. He can do it all in-house himself.
Nice.
And then, rounding it off with Fabrizio. Again, this is somebody that Alessandro knew for many, many years, but he didn't realize how good he was until one night he saw him at a gig. I think it was in 2019 before pandemic hit. He was at Fabrizio's gig, and he's like, "Oh my God, I didn't realize this guy was as insane a guitar player as he is." And he put it in the back of his head, "I got to put him on one of the things I'm working on soon." And it just so happened I got the lucky break of being able to help present him to the rest of the world, because nobody knows who this guy is, but they should, and I think he's absolutely brilliant.
Oh yeah,
Fabrizio Scattoni from Italy.
Oh, nice.
Wow, that's outstanding. Now, Jeff, one of the things that I love about you as an artist is you're constantly giving us new music. As an artist, how do you feel Complicated stands up to your other projects?
Well, for my solo career, I always tried to do kind of compilations or mashups of things that people know me from already, to the walks of my personal life and career and body of music. I've tried a couple times to reinvent myself or to experiment, to go kind of another direction, and it doesn't necessarily fare as well, because a solo career should be that. You shouldn't have to just repeat everything that people know you from if you're doing solo records. But naturally, my solo records are going to sound like bits and pieces of everything that I've done to that point. It's natural. Phil Collins did solo songs, and it sounded like what he was doing with Genesis before he went solo as a full-on solo career, as a solo artist. So naturally, you're going to hear a lot of bits and pieces, bits and bobs through the course of my career in life. But I always try to add just a little extra, a little something that doesn't exist with the other bands and the other releases that I've done, just because I can. You know, it's a solo album. It should be represented as such, and it should give you the opportunity to go and do things you normally wouldn't be able to do or get away with the other bands. So it's kind of a culmination of all those things. Like, I want to give what you expect of me, but I also want to give a little something that you wouldn't expect of me.
Nice. Yeah, I like to be surprised, man. Like that Sitar, right at the beginning, throws you off.
Exactly.
Oh, any plans for any more videos from this album?
Yeah, we're actually we're editing a video for a third single called Disbelieving, and that's going to come out, I believe, the day that the album comes out, on the 6th. So we're I love content. It's some of it might not be promoted or used properly in terms of the record companies. They have budgets, they have guidelines of what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. Mm-hmm. But I'd rather give them more content and have more content later, even if it's not going to be promoted the same way as the main singles. And like I said, I have such a great friend in my director in Brazil, Thiago. He's constantly asking if I want more, if he can do more, because he just wants to help me get the word out there. For me, it's having that content, just extra tools, extra ingredients to my arsenal that I can just keep pushing the main picture, the big agenda here.
Nice.
That's awesome. Hey, Jeff, I saw that there are some Sons of Apollo dates coming up in August of this year. Is there anything working there, or is it just a couple dates that you guys are making up that were scheduled before?
For the most part, yes. We're making up things that were canceled 4 and 5 times since 2020, and we're going to take it from there. For the Sons of Apollo, it's no surprise. Everybody knows it's comprised of many different names, and everybody involved are in different bands, other different projects and things that they also have to make up. So without diving into trying to find the actual space and time just for Sons of Apollo now, everybody's giving each other the respect and the time that they need to kind of make up and catch up with the other things that were in existence before Sons of Apollo. And I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to knock out these makeup dates, and then we're going to assess from there when the timing's right to start thinking and looking at a new album, looking at further touring, etc.
Cool. So how was the TSO tour? Had a year or two off of that, didn't you?
Well, it was only 1 year off.
Yeah, it was only one.
Tour,
yeah.
But it certainly was challenging. It's we're all going through the challenges of getting back to what was normal, what was considered normal.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about it, it took us a while for it to be normal to wear a mask and to be locked down and to be concerned about all this, the fear that came from getting sick or possibly dying. It took us a minute to get used to all the protocols and mandates.
Yeah.
It's going to take us the same minute to kind of get back. You can't just dive back into the water, head first. You have to put your feet in the water and make sure the temperature's okay, and you have to kind of slowly get into the water without. You don't want to do anything too fast and too foolishly, because we're going to end up like we were, 2 years ago. And that's the mentality even with touring. You got to be careful. You got to do things with the mindset that it could be pulled, and you want to make sure that nobody goes home and it turns into another big expensive mess of waiting and hoping that things get back to normal.
Wow, that's exactly. Sure. Jeff, we've enjoyed a lot of your music here over the years here at Rock and Metal Revival, both as a solo artist and as part of a group every now and then. Which do you prefer? Do you prefer the band setting, or do you prefer being a solo artist and being in charge of everything?
You know what? I can't say I choose one over the other, because I've had the luxury and I'm humbled by the fact that I've been allowed to have both sides of the coin. I know what it feels like to be in total control and to be the main one or the only one responsible for the big picture of things. And sometimes it's nice to relinquish that control. Sometimes it's nice to share it with others. Being in a band like Sons of Apollo, my role there in all the decisions and artwork and the song sequencing and the touring and who's going to be the support bands, even down to what songs are going to be playing before we even go on stage. All those things, I love that they get alleviated from me, because I'm in control of all that. And it's nice to kind of step back and just enjoy, just waking up and showing up to sound check and not having to deal with all the parameters that are necessary to make the presentation of what we're doing that are important. It's nice to sit back. So I love having both worlds. I love being able to exercise my own personal decisions and control of what I feel is best for me, but I also love being able to share that with others and letting them kind of take the reins and me just kind of kicking back and enjoying it.
Nice. Now, did you do some vocals on the Star One project with?
Yeah. I did a song with Arjen Lucassen. I've been a fan of his and the things and his guitar playing and writing and records for so many years. I remember when he reached out to me, it was Dino Delusion that did a song for him, and he asked Dino to connect. And the first thing I said when I wrote it was, like, "What took you so long?" Because I really enjoy his playing. I think he's one of those artists that's respected, but it's also deservedly respected. He's just that good. He's a professional artist in all respects, and he's just a great guy. So I was so excited to finally get to work with him.
Yeah, I didn't even know about it. One of our listeners sent me an email and told me to check it out. And yeah, really amazing stuff, man. And he's got so many guests.
I've had a very tight kinship with the European music community since I started. I started with Yngwie Malmsteen, and I think it played a very important role in terms of my direction and my influence, and even how the turnout of my own career. I've gotten to work more with European and just people from overseas, which to me only extends, it only broadens my own perspective musically, because things are done and thought about differently here in the U.S. And for the most part, there's a lot of U.S. bands that could only be popular in the U.S. because they don't necessarily have a sound or a direction that connects with a lot of people abroad. I love the fact that I was able to utilize both sides of the coin and have that influence and add my U.S. connection to music and how we think and how we do it. to a broader one, whether it be Europe or South America or in Asia. It's nice to have that added influence because it just gives you more into your own arsenal of how you're approaching your own music.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you've worked with so many different artists and everything. Is there anybody still on your bucket list that you haven't worked with that are like, you're just waiting for them to call one of these days?
I think there'll always be that. There are so many musicians and so many, especially the people that influence me, that I respect. Of course, I'll always have a bucket list of who I'd like to work with or maybe collaborate with, etc. But at this point, it's not like I've made a list in who is next or who's in line, or maybe I'll do this next before I do that. It really is just a play by ear thing, and I'm just enjoying the ride right now. It's been a almost 4-decade long run, and at this point, I'm just enjoying the ride that comes along with it. At this stage of my life and career.
So now, listening to the album, the only song I could pick out that I really thought could use something was the Until I See You Again.
Right.
And I was thinking maybe it could use some cowbell. What do you think?
Go ahead and sample that. Send it to me. I'll add it to the remix.
Okay.
Dance remix.
Nice.
Oh, brother. Well, the album's coming out May 5th. It's called Complicated. Jeff, where's the best place for music lovers to find it?
You know what? It's first of all, in following me, I used to send people to my website, but my website these days is basically it's run by the things that I post on my socials. Mm-hmm. It's not so much updates going on, what's going on in my career, more so than me giving the live updates and then being attached to my website. So I would say hit all my socials. I'm only on 3. I'm only on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Mm-hmm. And if there's no blue badge next to it, I just had to shut down one of these fake sites last night. There's no blue badge next to it. It ain't me. So follow the Jeff-Scott-Soto officials on the Instagrams and the Facebooks and that kind of thing. And if you follow those, you'll always get the updated information on where to find the record, where to see the videos, where to see me live. That's always the best way to kind of keep in touch with all things JSS.
Well, that's awesome. Now, off the air, we were talking about a song going out of the interview, and you mentioned a song called Thank You. And we're going to play that going out of the interview. You want to tell us about that song a little bit, Jeff?
Yeah, it's funny. When I first heard that song, it sounded like something that could be related to a relationship, kind of thinking it could be everything from thanking your parents or thanking your music teacher or the first person that discovered you had talent. And then I started thinking it was going kind of more towards a relationship kind of thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be the person I am. Thank you for allowing me to live my dream and all those things. And then I realized, because I always write in double entendre, this was actually it became more of a thank you note to my fans. And I've done these kinds of songs before where I'm showing my appreciation, my humble thank yous to the fans for giving me this opportunity, especially now to continue this opportunity. But I felt by actually taking the words thank you, it's going to be as black and white as you can possibly get, that this truly is a thank you to my fans for sticking with me, for giving me the chance to keep doing what I'm doing, basically following my dream. And that, to me, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the fans. So this is like a personal thank you to them.
That is outstanding. Nice. And we want to say thank you, Jeff, for always being so gracious and coming on the show. And
all the great music.
Yeah, and all the great music. And you are always welcome here on Rock and Metal Revival.
I appreciate it. You know what? There's no me without you guys. It's the community that allows us to be heard and allows us to be seen. You guys are such an important part of what I'm doing for a living, because without you, nobody know that there's anything out there. So I thank you guys for always finding the interest and finding the time to talk to me and adding me to your, everything that you've been doing and that you're doing currently.